Hi, this is Lance over at Grandpa Lance's blog. And today I don't want to call it a tutorial, but a kind of a demonstration of what I consider one of the better pieces of software out there in music today. That piece of software is Jamstix 3 by Rayzoon. I like this software because it's a nice replacement for a real drummer. Um, I'm one of those guys that started recording back in the 80s, and the drum machine I had at that time was an Yamaha RX-21, which not too dissimilar from this Superior drummer, with the exception of that particular software did not have great sounds. It was terrible. Where these new VSTs have fantastic sounds coming out of the box. For instance, I'll give you an example of some of the sounds you get out of this Superior drummer. Um, I'll just pick a groove here, any old groove, and just kind of hit play. Well, that's not going to work unless I do this, I assume. Yeah, it's got really good sounds. However, the problem with these kinds of VST drums machines, I'll use machines for lack of a better term, is that these are static loops. They don't really have. When you're putting together a song, you're stuck with the 2, 4, or 8 bars that this particular loop has in it. And then you've got to go back and edit. Once you put it in your song, you've got to go back and edit them under MIDI or and try and move things around to fit your song. Then comes along Jamstix 3, which is more like a real drummer than the Superior drummers, Addictive Drums, those kind of things. These have great sounds. This is a great brain. Let's kind of run through it. And when you're putting together a song, you pretty much have an idea of how the song is going to be structured, at least at the time when you're going to record it. You have an idea how many verses, how long the verses are, where the verses fall between the choruses. And this particular function on Jamstix 3 allows you to put that into the brain. Now, this particular default setting here, it just has a verse, a chorus, 2 verses, chorus, bridge, chorus, and the end. Just to change it up a little bit, I'm going to add another chorus and another chorus here, and just hit OK. And the brain knows at this point that you're going to do 2 verses before you hit 2 choruses, and then 2 more verses. Now, Ralph over at Rayzoon has put in this particular program all kinds of styles, which is really nice considering when you cancel that. When you go over here to something like Superior Drummer, unless you have bought the loops, you're kind of stuck with loops that come with it. Here, you've got all kinds of possibilities. I'm going to go ahead and load up the 8th rock, but once again, it's not unusual for you to find dozens, if not hundreds, of styles here. All right. After you get your style, then you go ahead and pick a drummer. Now, this part is where I think it really shines. It allows you to pick a thinly veiled drum style of a well-known drummer. The names are first names, and in order to avoid any kind of legal matter, the first names and the description kind of describes a real person who plays drums, for lack of a better way of putting it. Um, I like Tony, so I'm going to go ahead and use Tony for right now. And after you pick your drummer, then it allows you to pick a kit. Now, Jamstix 3 has nice sounds, but they're not great. Nice, that is, they're functional, and you can use them in a song, and the song will sound fine. But it sounds like as if the sounds are as if you recorded in your particular space, and it will take a lot of work to make them sound like the the big studios or the big rooms. Uh, but they are nice sounds. But Ralph, recognizing that they aren't great, nice but not great, has added a way for you to output the sounds to Addictive or BFD drums or, in my case, Tune Tracks Superior, which is really nice because uh, this particular way of doing things allows you to expand what your VSTs do. That is, your Superior drummer is not locked into those loops that you have to buy or come with Superior drummer. Okay, so once you get that done, now I have to do one other step here. That is, I need to silence Rayzoon's percussion jam cushion pack, because if you don't silence them, they will be part of the thing. And jam cushion is a separate add-on package. So if you don't have it, you don't have to worry about doing that step. Now, following that step, you can do the verse lengths and the chorus lengths. So these are in increments of one measure. So you can do 16 measures or 8 measures, 2 measures, doesn't matter. However, you need to recognize that if you do 8 measures for a verse length and you have 2 verses up here next to each other, that's going to be 16 measures with a fill between each iteration. All right, so you go ahead and hit create song, and up comes the brain. And I think that's what they call it in their manual or their owner's manual instructions. And in the brain, you're allowed to make some variations on your drummer's efforts. Such things as increasing the amount of kick drum. That is, here, where it's really 0%, he's basically doing, this particular drummer is probably doing a kick on 1 in a measure and a kick on 3 in the measure, and not much else. You busy it up a little bit, and it varies up nicely. Snare drum, how busy the snare drum is, I always like it to be not busy for most of my work, but you can busy it up, and it sounds like what a real drummer would do when he plays busy on the beat portion of a song. It also gives you, now when you switch, let's skip over here for a second. In this particular section, it has your layout of your structure of your song. Here's your 8 measures and your 2 verses, your 8 measures and your 2 choruses. When you go to chorus in this structure, Jamstix switches, much like a real drummer does, from the hi-hat to a ride cymbal. Now, it doesn't have to be a ride cymbal. Here on the power hand section of this brain, you can switch it to 25% open hi-hats, 50% open hi-hats, 75% open hi-hats. I like ride myself, and on the ride cymbal, I like it to have to do the beats as opposed to syncopated. On the bell, I do like the off beats of the ride cymbal. Now, in each portion of this, verse, chorus, bridge, you can also tinker with the fills, the length of the fill, on the transition fill, that is the transition from chorus to verse or verse to chorus or verse to whatever. It varies the length. It also varies if it's simple, what type of fill it is. That is, it could be more snare than toms. It's only going to be, in this instance, 19% toms and 52% snare and, let's say, 15% hi-hat. And you can vary which way the toms go. And you really can get in this thing and really change a lot of things. Let's go ahead and play what we've got here. I need to reiterate that I'm not using the sounds out of Jamstix 3. I'm just using the MIDI output of this brain and this structure into Superior Drummer, and in this particular instance, I'm using the Hit Factory drums. Okay. Now, all right. Let's go ahead and play it, and you can kind of see what's going on here. And I missed a step, and that step was when outputting from Jamstix into Superior or Addictive Drums or whatever drum VST you're using, in Cubase in particular, you need to change the output or the input of Superior to Jamstix MIDI output. Okay? And that's all you have to do. And you hit play. Nice. Okay. And that's pretty much the basics of how that works. Now, there are a few other quirks of this thing that you might want to take a look at, which I could probably deal with another thing, but I'm going to touch on them now. Once you've got a functional song, that is, you've got an idea of how this is all going to fall together and what it sounds like, you might as well just go ahead and go down here and in your particular DAW, and most of them work the same way. Go ahead and hit record. And it will record the output of Jamstix through Superior to a line on your DAW. Which, if you want to edit, cut, move, those kind of things, you can do at a later time. But once again, this is a lot like a real drummer. This is Jamstix 3. I think it's one of the nicer pieces of software out there. Not just nicer. That's a soft word. It's one of the more innovative pieces of software out there. That and Melodyne Celemony, or Celemony Melodyne, which way it goes, are the two pieces of software that I think have really changed recording by oneself. Anyway, that's Jamstix 3. I hope you go ahead and stop by Rayzoon and pick this software up. It's got some of the best customer service out there. Ralph over there, if you have a problem, you email him. He usually gets back with you in the hour or at least within the day, and his response is always helpful, and he's always there to help you on this. I really hope that Rayzoon continues to develop and make a lot of money on this software, because it's great software and great customer service, and it should be something that you should add to your VST arsenal. Thanks. I'm Lance at Grandpa Lance's blog, and I'll see you again soon.